Coming up, Lily Gladstone came just shy of winning an Oscar award for her role in Killers of the Flower Moon. Why some are saying she was snubbed. Lots more details from ICT's reporting team, who was on the red carpet and inside the theater in Los Angeles. Plus, it's Women's History Month. Meet a chef from Oklahoma. We have those interviews, plus headlines on the ICT Newscast.
This program is made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, a private corporation funded by the American people.
Support for the ICT Newscast with Lily Chavez comes from the Arizona PBS studios in Phoenix at the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communications at Arizona State University.
Amidawa Hopa, thank you for joining us. I am Aaliyah Chavez. The major story today, Lily Gladstone gets snubbed at this year's Academy Awards. Last night, the Oscar for Best Actress went to Emma Stone in Poor Things. If Gladstone won, she would have been the first Native American person to ever win in that category. Online, fans quickly pointed out that it was especially surprising because earlier this year, the Blackfeet and Nez Perce creative had already won a Golden Globe and a Screen Actors Guild Award. Typically, winning those awards means one is a shoo-in for an Oscar. On stage, Stone gave a nod to Gladstone, celebrating her masterful performance in Killers of the Flower Moon. We'll have lots more Oscar coverage later in our newscast, including the powerful performance by the Osage singers with ICT's Paris Wise, who was at the event at Dolby Theater in Los Angeles. Staying in California, 2 U.S. senators have introduced a bill that would place more than 170 acres of land into trust for a tribal nation if it is passed into law. The Jamul Indian Village Land Transfer Act would allow the nation to place the land it previously purchased into trust. In 2005, tribal citizens voluntarily moved from their land to pursue economic development. The chairwoman of the tribe, Erica Pinto, supports the bill, saying this critical legislation will help bring our people back to the community that has been our home from the beginning of time. The tribe's land was previously downgraded from more than 640 acres to just 6, making it one of the smallest tribes in the U.S. So far, the bill has been referred to the Senate Indian Affairs Committee. A first-of-its-kind report is hoping to help more Native women get into leadership positions. The Native Women's Leadership Report highlights the needs, interests, opportunities, and barriers of Indigenous women pursuing leadership. Created by and for Native women through the Native Action Network, the report serves as an opportunity to share issues and identify resources that can support pathways to tribal and non-tribal government leadership positions. In total, nearly 250 women from various fields, titles, and regions contributed to this year's report. The findings hope to inform future programming for the organization and will be made available publicly. Moving to the Andes Mountains in South America, Indigenous women are leading in local conservation efforts. 5 Latin American countries have women-led organizations at the forefront of nature conservation. Acción Andina is a nonprofit, multi-country initiative that protects native forests and ecosystems in the Andean region. Hundreds of women from Argentina, Bolivia, Chile, Ecuador, and Peru have helped in all phases of the replanting process, from plant care to implementing nurseries and even executing campaigns that are carried out within surrounding local communities. The organization has received international recognition for their restoration efforts and has been named a UN World Restoration Flagship. While actress Lily Gladstone didn't take any trophies home at the 2024 Academy Awards, the Osage Nation and Indigenous people everywhere declared themselves winners last night. ICT's Paris Wise was on the red carpet and inside Dolby Theater in Los Angeles for the event. Paris, hello to you.
Hi, Aaliyah.
We have to start off with the major storyline that we've been following for weeks with actress Lily Gladstone, who unfortunately did not win the Best Actress award. Tell us what the energy was like inside the theater when they actually announced her category.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'd say we've been waiting even longer for this moment, right? When we saw the 9 minute standing ovation at the Cannes Film Festival Award for this movie. I mean, we've been waiting for this moment. So just being there, I immediately felt emotional once I sat down in the theater. I already knew that if Lily was going to win, I would be bawling, just like many other people. And so when they announced her category, I had both my phones out, and I would say it was the most highly anticipated category of the night, not just for us, not just for Native communities, but for people all over watching. And I would also say, like, given the markers of Lily winning the Golden Globe and the SAG Award, I, along with so many other people, thought she was going to win, especially considering how other categories who also won those awards were given the Oscar. So, this just broke out of that pattern a little bit.
I want to go to the moment when Jennifer Lawrence was introducing Lily Gladstone as a nominee. Tell us what that atmosphere was like. And I imagine it was really special because it was women sort of empowering women.
It was, her words they felt very genuine. It was a huge monumental moment for all of those women. And just to see them all supporting each other was really heartfelt and touching. And I would say, once they didn't say Lily's name, I didn't know if it was just me, but it definitely felt like the energy in the theater was just sucked out. And it was a very confusing moment, to just feel that whiplash, like I said, after following Lily's journey for so long, and only to find out it wasn't just me. I had conversations with the people around me. I had conversations outside of the theater afterwards with friends and family. And I could say there was a collective disappointment, of course. Our executive editor, Jordan Bennett Gay, she was in the press room and shared that there was an audible gasp from other journalists in that room, when they announced Emma. And, people at home I've been following just sharing their sadness and confusion as well. So, all around, I would say it was a very extremely shocking and disappointing moment. I know so much good has come from this film, but with that, I think even more good could have come from Lily winning the Oscar. So it was definitely a very strange moment, and to see so many people rallying behind her still, I think is very powerful and just speaks to the amazing work and contributions she has made in her time.
Paris, from where you were sitting inside of Dolby Theater, were you able to actually see Lily Gladstone? And if so, what was it like after the awards show ended? I'm specifically wondering because after the Best Actress award was announced, the show pretty much ended. And so I'm wondering if you saw any embrace between Emma Stone and Lily Gladstone or what that moment was like.
Right. Well, Emma did share, she did give a nod, as you mentioned, to Lily and saying she shared this award with her. I know they've been close throughout this whole process. So I'm curious to what those conversations are going to be like. I can't imagine that it would be anything short of supportive still. But yeah, it was great to see her, Lily, and all of the cast on the red carpet. Everyone looked stunning. It was amazing. And I was really happy to be there.
The other major moment of the night came when the Osage singers took the stage, and you actually attended the Oscar nominee luncheon leading up to the awards show. You got to speak to Scott George there, who was nominated for Best Song and unfortunately didn't win. But tell us what that performance was like inside the theater.
Again, I was extremely emotional once they started playing the trailer for the movie to introduce Scott George and the Osage Singers. I cried. I totally cried, when they were performing. This is one of the biggest stages in the world, and being able to see them there and share their music and culture, it's such a rare moment in the industry. Not only what we're seeing happening with Lily, but with other people who were involved in this project. And in an industry that continuously gets scrutinized for its lack of diversity and equity, this was a huge moment. You have the top A-listers sitting in the same room, but you're hearing and seeing someone who you can relate to, who you understand, who you feel like might understand you. And that was so special to me. It was a very rare moment. So I think it goes to show that there's a lot of opportunity and it's possible to be included in these spaces.
I think watching from my TV at home, I shared that same emotion, Paris. It's super rare for me to get choked up, but as I was watching, I had tears in my eyes as well. It really just made me realize that this story was about the Osage, the historical trauma that these people have been through. And it's such a story of resilience because we're in 2024 and these singers are on the biggest stage in the world. I just thought it was so absolutely moving and beautiful. I couldn't imagine what it was like, being there in person. I actually do want to talk more about your experience at the Oscars. You were on the red carpet and sitting inside of Dolby Theater. Tell us what was going through your head as you were there.
Oh man, yeah, I feel so extremely lucky to have been able to attend such a monumental show. I also got to see the carpet as it was being built, as press, doing a walkthrough while they were building it. It was raining here a couple days in LA, so that set them back. So those crews work tirelessly to put on this production. It was just so cool to see the finished product with everyone in their dresses. I had to figure out what am I gonna wear. I was messaging friends like, hey, what should I do for makeup? Help me out with that. Messaging friends who I know make jewelry. I really wanted to represent, a native artist. These are actually the earrings I wore. They're by Sotaskawi Designs. And so I was so happy to be able to tell people, people would compliment them and I would be like, yeah, like they're made by a Ghanaian and Dakota sister duo. Like it was so cool to share. And oh my gosh, can we talk about Lily's dress? Because she was gorgeous. And it was so cool that she also got to rep quill work in a Gucci collaboration with Joe Big Mountain, who's a Mohawk Cree and Comanche artist. But being there, I mean, it's the most glamorous event you can ever attend. And people were definitely dressed to impress. Everyone was so friendly, and being in the theater, that theater sits about maybe 3,000 people. So there's a lot going on. Everyone was getting their selfies on the stairs, on the carpet. Like they had to keep kind of shooing us. So it was really fun. My friends and family were super happy for me. There were points where it was like a little nerve-wracking, but what helped was I was able to attend also alongside Jordan, our editor, who I mentioned earlier. And she took some really amazing pictures on the carpet, which you can find on our website and social media too.
I want to squeeze in one last question, Paris, and that's the question on everyone's mind. What's next for Lily Gladstone, and what movies or projects could we see her in the future?
Right, totally. I mean, as disappointing as this was, there were a lot of wins that came out of this award season. Lily still made history to be the first Native woman to be nominated in this category. Scott George was still nominated. They got to perform. There was other Native talent there. I think if anything that this whole journey has shown us, whether it's Best Actress, Best Original Song, you're working as crew, as a PA, a writer, whatever it is, there are so many opportunities to create space and uplift Native communities. And so for Lily, this is not the last we're going to hear of her. If anything, we're only going to hear more about her. She has kicked down the door in so many ways in this project, and that door is not coming back on. She has so many more upcoming projects. Fancy Dance is going to also be distributed on Apple Films. She has other projects that have been announced, and that's only going to lead to more other Native stories being told, and her wearing even more Native designers at these events and amplifying Native voices. This was the 96th Academy Awards, but this was the first time a Native woman had been nominated for Best Actress, and so from here on out, that's just holding the Academy more accountable. Even for myself as a journalist, shout out to Osage News, because they were also able to attend a lot of these events, of course, throughout the course of this film and its journey. So I don't know that those opportunities would have come if it wasn't for the work of all of these people and the Osage, amplifying their story.
Well, Paris, it looked like you had a really great time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
March is Women's History Month. To celebrate the women who have made a difference in our lives and the lives of their native nations, here's an encore presentation of an interview from our archives. In Oklahoma, a new museum features the tribes of the area. ICT's Shirley Snavy was there to see what's cooking with Chef Loretta Barrett Oden at 39 Restaurant. Take a look.
Come see us at 39 at the First Americans Museum. The museum is stunning. It's gorgeous. It's absolutely worth seeing, and the food's pretty worth eating as well.
That's great. Loretta Barrett Oden is the chef at 39 Restaurant.
I'm laughingly say I'm the Indian in the cupboard. So I try to keep them on track, you know, what food we're supposed to be cooking and serving here. I've been involved with this project for probably 17 years. This was kind of a stutter start. You know, we'd get going and then, you know, we'd shut down, but it finally is open. We opened in September of 21, so 39, which pays homage to the 39 tribes of Oklahoma. And so I'm trying to kind of replicate what I did in Santa Fe. So doing First Americans cuisine, doing a lot of buffalo, venison, quail, a lot of veggie stuff. Our garden out there growing corn, beans, and squash, which is exciting. That's a program of TSET, the Tobacco Settlement Group called Shape Your Future. And so we're trying to get healthy food back on the tables for our people.
Loretta's new cookbook will introduce you to some of these dishes.
It's named after the Corn Dance Cafe in Santa Fe, where this all began. And so my first book signing is going to be in Santa Fe next week. So I'm really excited about that. So this is geared for the home cook. So they're pretty simple, straightforward recipes. And I think everyone will have fun. A lot of my story in there. So that's going to be fun too.
I asked Loretta what her inspiration was for cooking.
I guess growing up in Oklahoma, a big family. The Potawatomi side of my family, my mom was one of 9 kids. And I had grandmas and aunties. And so it had to do with, you know, growing up in the kitchen, singing, laughing, cooking. That inspiration kind of carried through my life, raising my kids and all of that. And then I took a departure, left Oklahoma, and ended up in Santa Fe. And my eldest son, Clay, and I opened the Corn Dance Cafe. 3 favorite recipes. Well, you know, it has to be the 3 Sisters and Friends saute. So that's my one with corned beans, squash, quinoa, wild rice, really quick, easy saute. And then it's garnished with a sage pesto, really tasty. Everything that you can buy at your local grocery store. Hopefully you'll grow it yourself. That makes it that much better. And 3 top ones. We're doing a really good Santa Fe influence hominy stew. It's basically pozole, but we're in Oklahoma, so we're calling it hominy stew. So it's pretty, it's red and spicy, very tasty. We're doing that with bison meat rather than pork. And we're also doing a chicken green chili stew, which is pretty tasty. I'm doing corn ice cream, my flourless chocolate cake that I call Loretta's Obsession. With blackberry cobblers, you know, some really good food going on here.
In Lincoln, Nebraska, Shirley Snavy, ICT News.
So I wanted to check in to see how everything was going with your pregnancy too.
Your food choices affect you, it affects your baby, and it affects your family. It's important to have a balanced diet with foods from all of the different food groups. Carbohydrates, water, fats, protein, vitamins, and minerals, all great things for baby. It's going to be 17.5 teaspoons of sugar in 1 can of iced tea. I'm gonna back off on the Arizona tea for some time.
I really love and enjoy the program. It was an easy connection for us when I first met her. It was just like I could relate. She was welcoming. It made me feel comfortable.
Everybody has different beliefs. What I like about Family Spirit is that it takes that into consideration, honoring their beliefs and their background. For different cultures,
he babbles all the time, and like he'll point to banana and say, "You want banana?" So that's kind of how we communicate and know what he does want and what he doesn't.
Revitalizing language is a priority for many tribes across Turtle Island. That's because language is what ties them to their sense of place and identity. Almost 10 million people identify as American Indian or Alaska Native, but only 250,000 speak their Indigenous language. ICT wants to do its part in perpetuating the beauty of these Native languages. That's why we've added a regular feature to the newscast. Today we head to New York, to the Seneca Nation, where Stuart Huntington caught up with Janos Bowen, who is working to restore the Seneca language.
So my name is Janos. I am a member of the Seneca Nation and Beaver Clan. I live on the Allegheny territory of the Seneca Nation, and I really like it when I'm able to use our language.
Why is it important to bring back your beautiful language?
One of my elders constantly pulls out the dictionary, believe it or not, the English dictionary, and looks up nation. And he says, "What does it say in the definition? What do we have to have?" And it says a shared language. So in my mind, thanks to my elder, if we truly want to be sovereign, we need to have our own language. We can't lose that. That is really part of who we are. And it's a strong statement if we can still use our language that we are sovereign people. We have our own language. We have our own way of thinking. So as a spiritual person from the Cold Spring Longhouse, I also believe it just has a different depth. Our language, when we do our ceremonies, it just the words that we have in our language, the concepts are just so different sometimes than those of English, that I really feel like even our ceremonies would really lose out in terms of this really deep, powerful meaning if we had to do them in English. So our people actually do say, like, if we have to do them in English, then we need to stop our own ceremonies, because they need to be done in our own languages. And they're very strict about that. So even to this day, all of our ceremonies are only done in our language. People might talk between portions of it to their neighbor in English, but the ceremony itself will be carried out in Seneca. It's a very deep, I guess, a spiritual thing to really understand and know your language, as well as expressing sovereignty for yourself and your people. And the neat thing about working at the Seneca Nation is they have sincerely put forth funds to create various language efforts within their government. So we have an immersion department. We have my department, the Allegheny Language Department. We have a Faith Keeper School, which is a Montessori Seneca language nest. We have language programming within our early childhood centers. We have a ceremonial program. We have a Cattaraugus Territory Language Department. And we have an immersion language nest on the Cattaraugus Territory as well. So there are many, many things here on the Seneca Nation territory that are working toward revitalization or restoration efforts. Some of our elders prefer restoration, so I will try to use that.
Bowen talked about her mother's reaction to hearing more Seneca language users.
When she came and she saw all these people, and she saw young people who could do certain things, she cried because she never thought she would see that. So there are definitely good things happening. It's encouraging. I try not to think about how much work we have left because it can be overwhelming. When you see those people just feel empowered and happy to be able to manipulate the language or just use it with ease, it's just an amazing thing to see. Even if you aren't the teacher, even if you're just the administrative supporter, it's still a joy to see.
And now we head west to Blackfeet territory in Montana, where Lily Gladstone gives us a moment of Blackfeet wisdom.
Nitsika tai gitsi. Nitsika tai gitsi means I feel the good in what you've done. Nitsika tai gitsi. Nitsika tai gitsi. I feel the good in what you've done.
That is a slice of our Indigenous world. For all the latest, visit ictnews.org. From all of us in the newsroom, stay safe, my relatives.
This program is made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, a private corporation funded by the American people.